Gentlemen, welcome here to race 22 of the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series as we get ready to go for our second road course race in 2 weeks. Originally, it was supposed to be Watkins Glen International that played host to tonight's event, but with the fact that ARCA is currently underway at Daytona Road Course, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are going to be running the Daytona Road Course this weekend, the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, as well as the Soda Guys Cup Series tomorrow evening are going to be running here at the Daytona Road Course configuration as well. So talk about a little bit of a curveball for these drivers, especially closing in on the end of the regular season. A spot in the playoffs on the line, and after tonight, only 4 races will remain till we're going to know those 12 drivers that will be in the playoffs. The field is getting ready to grid here on the back straightaway. And it's going to be Logan Helton, David Santini, a very familiar sight for us a few weeks ago. It seemed like these guys were on the front row every single week, sometimes interchanged with who was the pole sitter and who was the driver on the outside of the front row. But Logan Helton was the fastest in practice and the fastest in qualifying, and it will be an all BJ McLeod Motorsports front row as you take a look at your starting grid for this race. Now, I mentioned the fact that the Soda Guys Cup Series, they're going to be driving here tomorrow evening. So you're going to notice a lot of familiar names from that series racing in tonight's event, trying to get in some extra laps and some extra experience at this road course. Quite a number of drivers did not take time in this one, as these drivers had about 5 minutes of qualifying, so they had to obviously get around to take the green flag first of all, and then after that, it takes them a long time to get around to even complete a lap. As a matter of fact, Logan Helton in practice, his fastest lap of the practice session was just a little under 2 minutes, 1 minute 53 seconds, 0.271. So if you consider the fact it takes nearly 2 minutes to get around to start your first lap, then you got to hope you hit your lap perfectly in order to get a good qualifying time, which Helton was able to do. Field's getting ready to roll off. It'll be 39 laps of racing here this evening at the Daytona Road Course. These drivers should be good to go the entire race without having to come to pit road any more than one time, as these drivers only have 2 sets of tires at their disposal. That includes the set that they have on their race cars right now. Obviously, if you tune into the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, you're very familiar here with the chicane on the back straightaway. These drivers going to have to deal with this much like they do at the Charlotte Roval, going just about halfway down the back straightaway, then through the chicane and into what is NASCAR Turn 3. But you're going to see another area down here that was implemented on the new NASCAR version of the Daytona Road Course, almost kind of similar to the Charlotte Roval as well, with a chicane coming out of Turn 4. And observing these drivers in practice, that seemed to be the one spot these drivers are having the most difficulty, because prior to the iRacing bringing out this 2020 version of the Daytona Road Course, that chicane never existed. It was basically from the back straightaway chicane all the way over towards Turn 1 that was all super speedway section. So these drivers, a little bit of an added corner here that they're going to have to deal with during the course of today's race. And obviously, with it being a road course, we may end up not seeing any yellows during the course of today's event, as the green flag is in the air, and we are racing here tonight in the Daytona Road Course for the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. Logan Helton's going to take the early advantage, and it will be a battle now for second place between David Santini and Ty McWhorter. Santini will take the spot for the moment. Into the hard braking zone here, almost a 180-degree turn. And down towards the straightaway. This is heading into Turn 5. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Turn 4. This is Turn 5. We're going to actually go on board here with the 99 as they'll head down the straightaway and head for the left-hand Turn 6, which will then bring them into what is normally known as NASCAR Turn 1, but with the road course configuration, it is Turn 7. NASCAR Turn 2 is Turn 8 on the road course configuration. As it looks like up to this point, everybody has not had any issues. That's good to see. Jeffrey Meyer in the 38 decided to start from pit road. Here's the chicane on the back straightaway. This is turns 8, or make that 9 and 10 rather. Saw a couple of drivers have some difficulties here as well. Looks like they've all gotten through safely. Into what's NASCAR turn 3 is turn 11. NASCAR turn 4 is turn 12. And then down here into the final two corners, 13 and 14. That chicane here between turn 4 and the tri-oval start-finish line. And it looks like everybody was able to get around and complete this first lap without incident. So great job by all of those drivers being able to do that. Best battle right now up towards the front of the field is going to be for that third position. That's where you find Ty McWhirter trying to hold off Boyd Hogan. Boyd Hogan running here this evening. Of course, a 8-time winner over in the Soda Guys Cup Series, as he will make the move to the inside of Ty McWhirter and take that position away. Boyd Hogan driving the number 13 here this evening out of MBM Motorsports, a team that already has a victory this season back at Kentucky when TJ Crampton went to victory lane. Another driver that you'll be very familiar with in the Soda Guys Cup Series. He's running back here currently in the 13th position, and that is the 4 of Dalton Collins, driving here tonight for JD Motorsports, filling in for Kevin Roy, as I think we had an issue there with Tim Williams in the 19. Doesn't look like he got any damage, but he definitely got off course and lost a few positions in that Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Supra. But Dalton Collins, who has a Soda Guys Cup Series victory, is looking like he could very well be poised to make his way into the playoffs in that series. Run here tonight for Kevin Roy, and the reason why this is very important is because Kevin Roy came into this race 6 points behind the 12th in the standings cut line, which right now is being held by Brandon Andrews, as we got smoke going there into the chicane. Sometimes that's a driver getting hard on the brakes, and sometimes that's a driver spinning through the chicane. It looks like everybody is good to go up to this point. Nobody's really had an incident here in these first 2 laps or so. But Brandon Andrews, as we mentioned, is the driver that comes in, the cutoff line driver, and he's all the way back here in the 21st position. He did not start from pit road. He was ahead of Jeffrey Meyer, so I think the 24 might have gotten off course at some point there on this second lap. Andrews has got a long ways to go to get back up there. A couple of other drivers that are running up here making their first starts. How about Matthew Geringer in the 35, another MBM Motorsports machine. Right now he is in the 19th position. And Chad Gunnisman, who we're used to seeing the driver, the number 22 in the Soda Guys Cup Series. He's at Stewart-Haas Racing here tonight, driving the number 98 rather, and he is currently in 16th, watching this battle up ahead of him with Tim Williams and Carson Bowers, trying to figure out which one of those two is going to be in the 14th position, and they nearly both just found themselves in the grass. And they're still going to continue to battle this out. Through turn 5, and Williams is going to get off course. He drove it in deep. He tried to get back to the throttle too soon. The rear end tires just did not take, and he was off into the grass. Now he's going to lose another spot. That's Matt Knight in the 0-1 going around, and now Matt Knight overdrives the corner. I don't know if he got the tire barriers or not. He was close if he didn't. Trying to look and see if we can in any way take a camera shot at that right front. I think he may have narrowly avoided the tires, but that was a close call. As problems for David Santini. He all of a sudden dropped back to the 7th position. He was up in 2nd. And we got another car in trouble. That's Jared Carr in the 66. He's looped it around out of the exit of the chicane on the back straightaway. That back straightaway does have, that chicane does have rumble strips, but if a driver wheel hops there through one of those rumble strips, that rear end is more than likely going to spin around, and Jared Carr is going to fall all the way outside of the top 15. Now he's going to lose another spot to Chad Gunnisman, drop the 66 down to the 19th position. As soon as I say that, he'll actually take the spot back, but 18th is where the 66 will fall to, at least for the moment. 18's being filled in this evening. Tom Laneville for Joe Gibbs Racing. And I believe that Laneville has actually been named the actual driver of the 18 car now. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe that Zach York, was originally the driver of the 18 car, but now Laneville is the official driver of this machine. And right now, Laneville comes into this race 15th in the point standings. He's got a long ways to go to be able to get a playoff spot, 172 points behind 12th in the standings. The only other driver, besides Kevin Roy, who's not in tonight's field, being filled in for by Dalton Collins, that has a shot of getting up there and getting that spot away from Brandon Andrews, is the 78 of Barry Stevens, who is running right behind Laneville, currently in the 9th position. But the last couple of road courses have not been kind to Barry Stevens. He struggled back at the Indianapolis road course, finished that race a lap down, and then last week at Road America had a lot of issues as well. So Barry Stevens really hoping that his road course program can turn around for the better. Right now in that 9th position. And Cody Jordan right behind him as well in that 10th spot. Cody Jordan worked his way up into a top 12 position in the standings after a fairly decent run last week at Road America. He is up in the 11th spot in the playoff standings, but he's only 9 points to the good. So that 9 machine still needs to make sure that he finishes out tonight's race at the Daytona road course with a good run. Best battle right now is going to be all the way back for 15th place. That's where an exchange just was done between Kyle Payne moving by Matt Knight in the 0-1 machine. And another battle that seems to possibly be brewing up inside of the top 10 is right here. Roger Gregory in the 12 trying to reel in Evan Longacre in the 10. That's Penske Racing trying to reel in Colleague Racing. As Santini, you mentioned, he fell all the way back to 7th. He just got around both these drivers one lap ago and has worked his way back up to the 5th position. TJ Crampton, new colors for the 22. We saw him make his debut for Penske last week. Our Kentucky winner this season. Second time that he has run a Penske Ford Mustang here, and right now in that 4th position. Remember how good he ran last week at Road America with his hood completely gone. And the gap is dwindling a little. And when I mean a little, I mean a minute little between Logan Helton and Boyd Hogan. It was about 5 seconds last time I looked. It's now down to about 4.949. That's not a whole lot of ground that right now Logan Helton is making up. So with 39 laps here officially for this race, if we kind of round it up to 40, I would assume we're going to see these drivers all on pit road trying to split this race in half, provided we go green all the way, which I would not be surprised about that. So more than likely, we're going to see these drivers all on pit road as Gracious saw the 8 of Logan Helton hit the turtle there on the second and final exiting chicane rumble strip. And the left sides went completely up and into the air. You got to be careful not to have some suspension damage. But I think we're going to see these drivers all be hitting pit lane for their only pit stop of the day, somewhere between laps 18 to 20. You could see Boyd Hogan in the same shot. And it looks like another driver that may have run into an issue here is Kyle Payne. We saw him moments ago moving up to the 14th position, getting around Matt Knight. He has since dropped back to 20th place. And Jeffrey Meyer, I believe last week we saw him pull this same strategy at Road America where he started from pit road. He did it again here. And he's trying to catch up to Kyle Payne. Right now Meyer's in the 20th position. Closest battle we've got right now is going to be for the 4th position, and it's not really even a battle. It actually was a battle that just ended between David Santini and TJ Crampton. Santini working his way back up into the top 5. Remember when he had his problem, which we're not really 100% certain what it was. I'm just assuming he may have overdriven a corner or something when he dropped back to 7th place. He was running in 2nd place at the time. And right now, according to the telemetry, he's got about 10 seconds to make up to get himself even back up to the 2nd position. So Santini begins to try his recovery, that battle that we saw brewing for 6th. It's on, and it's between 3 drivers as, Longacre looked a little loose there, coming out of the back straightaway chicane. Roger Gregory there, as well as Tom Laneville. So you've got a Chevy from Colleague Racing, a Ford from Roger Penske Racing, and a Toyota out of Joe Gibbs Racing, all under a blanket of about a second. And right now, for both Longacre and Gregory, the two of them currently find themselves in playoff positions. Right now, Longacre is in the 6th seed and Gregory is in the 10th seed. As Laneville is going to look to the inside there on Roger Gregory. Nothing doing going into turn 1. Longacre overdrove turn 1, though. That opened the door for Gregory. Whoa, these guys are getting a little too close for my comfort. 3 different drivers, 3 different lanes, 3 potential different braking zones, as now Gregory had to check up for Longacre, and Laneville's going to take advantage. So move Laneville up to 7th, Gregory back to 8th position. And behind them, you've got a pretty good battle here. Tim Williams trying to fight his way back up to the front, trying to reel in Joshua Gordon, former winner from this season. Gordon, the winner from New Hampshire, if memory serves me correctly. And right behind Williams, you've got Carson Bowers. So right now, all 3 of these drivers are currently locked into the playoffs. Right now, Gordon is in the 5th seed with his victory. Tim Williams right now 8th in playoff points, and Carson Bowers 9th. Of course, all these drivers looking for momentum heading into the playoffs, as Kyle Payne has had a problem. Looks like that is out of turn 2. You'll get that number 21 machine refired, as that drops him all the way back to last car running in the 21st position. One driver has not started this race that is in the grid, and that is former winner Jacob Shorba. We saw last week at Road America that Jacob Shorba started from pit road, made about 1 or 2 laps, and then kind of just sat on pit road for the remainder of the race. So we'll wait and see if he gets back on or not, as I think we've had a possible issue again for the 19 of Tim Williams. May have completely overdriven the back straightaway chicane. Had to go through the grass, and he's now dropped all the way back to the 15th position, lost another 3 spots with that mistake. So, boy, Tim Williams and the Daytona Road Course are not getting along at all. Remember, this is an open setup league, and I cannot imagine what it is like trying to set up a car for a road course. It's tough enough for me to set up a car for a speedway, let alone for a track where you have to turn both right and left and make sure that your car is going to handle whichever kind of a corner you take. Logan Helton and Boyd Hogan, they are running identical lap times. The gap between the two of them has not changed an iota in the last 6 laps. It is still about 4.6 seconds between the 8 and the 96. And let's not forget here, too, for Logan Helton, that one of his 2 wins this season did come at a road course. That was back at Mid-Ohio. So, and Helton was really strong last week at Road America. Kind of used up his stuff a little bit too early, and that was in his attempt to try and reel in the eventual winner, Brendan Burcroft. But he's been really strong with the road course program, and finally trying to see if he can pick up his 3rd win of the season. He right now finds himself in a 7-2 deficit in terms of wins, and a 21-6 playoff point deficit to his teammate David Santini. So if he can pick up a victory here, that'd be another 3 added playoff points and would put him up to 9 when the playoffs are reformatted. Another driver that I just noticed that is conspicuously missing from this race, and that's the 2 out of Richard Childress Racing, Chris Whitaker. Now, Whitaker is already locked into the playoffs. He has made 20 of the 22 starts this season, if we include tonight's race. So he's definitely met the starts requirement, and he does have a win this season, so he's already locked into the playoffs. So I guess if there's a track that you want to give a miss, maybe the Daytona Road Course, where I would doubt very many drivers in the field would have any reps at. Might be the best place to maybe try and give it a little bit of a miss here and not put yourself through it. As this is a battle for a spot inside the top 10. Cody Jordan, the junior motorsports car, trying to hold off Carson Bowers. And just behind them, you've got Dalton Collins. And just behind them, you saw the 78, the white and green machine. There he is. That is Barry Stevens. And these drivers are slowly reeling in Joshua Gordon as, woo, Collins getting a little loose there on corner exit coming off of turn 2. Or 3. I think that's actually turn 3. So even I'm not all that familiar with the Daytona road course itself. I've driven it a couple of times on the Enter 2003 sim, but even then, I'm not 100% familiar with it. Because like I said, I mean, unless you're a driver that really likes road courses and you race road courses all the time, a lot of these drivers are not going to be all that familiar with the Daytona road course itself. A little worried right now for Brandon Andrews. Saw him last time by back in the 21st position. He's picked up 2 spots since then, up to 19th. But we already talked about the fact that he comes into this race only 6 points ahead of the cut line. And the driver he has to worry about right now would be Barry Stevens. I don't really know how many points a driver gets when they've been subbed for. So I'm not sure how many points Dalton Collins will be able to get Kevin Roy here this evening. But right now, the gap between Brandon Andrews and Barry Stevens for that final playoff position is 19 points. And with Andrews back in the 19th position, Barry Stevens in 13th, Stevens has gained at least 6 of those positions, at least 6 of those points that he was lacking at this current point in time. Is this the best battle on track right now? Cody Jordan, Carson Bowers, Dalton Collins, and Barry Stevens trying to reel in this threesome. This is going on about 2 seconds behind Joshua Gordon. And we just had an exchange for position just ahead. In the 7th spot, Roger Gregory gets back around Tom Laneville. So Laneville back to 8th. And we're going to jump back again to this battle here. Just outside of the top 10 with Jordan, Bowers, Collins, and Stevens. Because this is the best one at this point in time. And we're still about 8 to 10 laps away from when these drivers would probably start thinking about coming to pit road. Mentioned that tomorrow, Soda Guys Cup Series are going to be here at the Daytona Road Course as well. So, I'm looking at drivers like Boyd Hogan, Ty McWhirter, Dalton Collins, Chad Gunisman. I'm wondering, what are they learning here that they're going to be able to apply to that cup race? And who knows? We may see somebody like Logan Helton, who apparently really likes this track with the lap times he's been able to run. We may see him up there maybe for a one-off filling in, being able to run the Daytona Road Course 2 nights in a row. Makes me wonder how many of the Rapid Fire Pizza national drivers are going to like this track so much that they want to give it another go tomorrow evening. Maybe come in as a fill-in driver for a chartered team or something like that. As this battle here is now settled out, Jordan's got about 8/10 back to Collins. Carson Bowers is now fallen back to 12th, and Barry Stevens is settled into that 13th position. So the battle really isn't closed up. If anything, it's spread out as Collins. Wow, he was really loose there coming off the final turn, heading for the start-finish line. And yes, these drivers obviously want to get everything they can out of their race cars in terms of speed, corner entry, corner exit. You don't really want to slide those rear tires because that's going to wear them down. If you wear them down, you're not going to have much underneath you when you get towards the end of the run just before coming to pit road for pit stops. It'll be interesting here, too, to see when these drivers do decide to come to pit lane, because I'm looking here in terms of the lap times right now. If we use Logan Helton as an example, our race leader, his best lap was a 1:54.394. That's a really good lap time for him. It's about maybe a second slower than his qualifying lap. But that last time by, he just ran about a 1:58 flat. That is a 3.6 second difference between his fastest lap and the lap time he just put down. And let's bear this in mind too. If we look at the 8 machine of Logan Helton, there's not a soul around him. So he is able to enter into the corners, exit the corners, take them as easy or as hard as he would like to. There's no one to pressure him. He's just able to go out there and hit his marks. So it's not like he's out there using up his stuff in making these laps. And there's a 3.6 second difference, and we're only 12 laps in. So if I'm somebody back here like Boyd Hogan, who right now is about 6 seconds back, if I duck onto pit road a lap before Logan Helton and I'm able to make up 3.6 seconds, then instead of about a 6-point gap between yourself and Logan Helton, it's then going to be down to about, nearly 2.5 seconds. So there is time to be gained, I would think, if you come to pit road early, get those tires sooner. As we see Boyd Hogan there getting a little loose off the corner. Not surprised, Boyd Hogan and Dalton Collins, good friends that are usually in the same Discord room during the Soda Guys Cup Series races. No doubt they've been sharing tips as far as setups, and we saw that Dalton Collins was loose off the corner moments ago, so no surprise to see Boyd Hogan fighting the same issue. The guy that's been on the move, the guy that's had the best recovery so far of early issues has been David Santini. Santini's now up to the 4th position. He's got about 3 seconds to make up before he gets up there to Tom McWhorter, as we've had a problem. Is that turn 1? I'm not sure. Let's wait and see. Looks like that was going into turn 1. Evan Longacre in the 10 car. Yeah, he completely blew turn 1. Went sliding. He's actually taking turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. I'm not certain what the ruling's going to be on that. I would assume you'd have to give up some kind of time, have some kind of a time penalty. But he just ran the entire super speedway section through 1 and 2. That's a little bit confusing. I can understand the fact that, he blew the corner, but I would think you're supposed to either, 1, try and get it back over to NASCAR turns 1 and 2, or not NASCAR turns 1 and 2, the road course section of 1 and 2, turn it back that direction, or maybe come to a stop and lose time. But we'll wait and document what happens with the 10 machine, because I would assume that would be an illegal move. Especially with the fact that you're cutting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners. And we've had a lot of problems here out of the chicane. Dalton Collins is slow. Cody Jordan was slow. No, we've got a moment, and some of these incidents now look like they are involving quite a number of drivers. Let's actually go back and look at some replays here. I want to first start back there and see what happened with the 10 of Evan Longacre, because I'm still really confused about that one. Why the 10 machine has either not given up some time or something. Let's watch this and see what we can see here. Oh, okay, so this was going into, that's turn 3. Now, my question is, why? Oh, was that coming out of, that might have actually been coming out of 6. I think that was coming out of 6. So that is my error. Yep, that was actually coming out of turn 6. It looked like when I saw turn 1 in the background, I thought he spun out of turn 1. But no, he spun out of turn 6. So that is my error on that. So he did absolutely nothing wrong, did Evan Longacre, with continuing on the way he did. Now let's go back and see what happened to Cody Jordan. I mentioned that final chicane is the one place that drivers have not been able to have a whole heck of a lot of practice. And there actually was no contact, I don't think. But we're going to watch on the right side of your screen as Dalton Collins is going to come flying in the 4 right here. Hard on the brakes, even harder on the brakes. Front tires locked up. Hits the turtle. And because he messed up the corner, he had to slow down. And Cody Jordan looked like he took that corner awfully conservative too, and Barry Stevens was able to get around him. So, we're seeing this too because of the fact, let's not forget, these drivers have been out there now for 14 laps. Those tires are going to be wearing down. Those brakes are not going to be as effective as they were at the initial start of this race. And Barry Stevens just made another pass, getting around Joshua Gordon. So Stevens seems to be one of the better cars on the long run, as he is running faster than 5 drivers ahead of him. He just ran a faster lap than Longacre, Laneville, Gregory, Crampton, and Santini. He was the 4th fastest car on the track right now. And remember, the guy that right now he is battling for that final playoff position is the 24 Brandon Andrews, right now in the 18th position. A couple of drivers have now fallen a lap down as Logan Helton. Oh, caution! Caution is out. I think it's the 21 of Kyle Payne. Unless this is a competition caution. Because I believe they threw a competition caution last week at Road America. So this might be a competition caution. We'll wait and see, as we are on lap 15 of 39. We're going to go back and see if it was indeed Kyle Payne, because that car did come to a stop. And no, it is a competition caution that was thrown. Can confirm that. I want to see, though, why the 21 came to a stop. Got some rear end damage, and I'm not sure where that came from. Okay, so the reason that the 21 car was showing 0 on its telemetry is the 21's fighting some connection issues. And when the car disappears, it shows up as a 0. So Logan Helton has to get up here and catch up to the pace car. I think everybody has to catch up to the pace car, actually. I think the caution might have been thrown prior to Logan Helton hitting the start-finish line. So they're actually completing this 15th lap. And then the field will pick the pace car up. I was going to mention, though, that Logan Helton has been able to lap both the 35 of Matthew Geringer and the 21 of Kyle Payne. Jeffrey Meyer is also a lap down. He was just on pit road about 2 laps ago. And right now it looks like Geringer would be the recipient of the free pass, as Logan Helton is going to come around and he will finally receive the caution flag as sunlight starts to creep out a little bit there on the Daytona International Speedway. You see that sunlight through turns 1 and 2. And all of a sudden, our telemetry has gone haywire. We're now having drivers almost as if they've... I don't know. Something weird is going on here. All of a sudden has Logan Helton scored down in 14th. Just about everybody that's crossed the line has dropped down outside of the top 10. It's showing the 14 of Tom Laneville as the race leader. So our telemetry is all screwed up here, so we'll hopefully get that all settled out. Not really sure what's going on there. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. Wait until the field catches up to the pace car. We'll follow pit stops and everything here from Daytona, and then we'll be back. Hopefully everything will be settled out, and we'll be able to document who is going to be where here for this restart, which is going to be taking place, I think, with them being able to make it the entire rest of the way. I think they'll all take their 4 tires on this time. Their only set that's waiting for them in pit road, and then we'll get ready to get back underway here at Daytona in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You'll see it all as we go FRN side by side. Welcome back to Daytona. As you saw live, the pit stops taking place here. Fortunately, everything for scoring and looping has been updated. Logan Helton was first off of pit road. He is indeed scored as your race leader. Second place going to be Boyd Hogan, followed by Ty McWhirter, David Santini, and TJ Crampton. One driver had a little bit of a problem there on pit road. That was Brandon Andrews. Andrews did not get to his pit stall, so we will undoubtedly see him hitting pit road this time around, as he's the only driver that has not taken on his his set of 4 tires. And I think we're going to see him this time around, and I think he might have maybe missed his pit stall with a little bit of help. 24's got some pretty extensive rear end damage, which says to me he might have gotten bumped on pit lane. And we got a couple of drivers look like they may be ducking for pit road here. And Longacre was zipping up through the field here in the 10 machine. And here comes some more drivers pit road. There's Andrews. Joshua Gordon, the 93, is in as well. And I think Gordon might have been the one that bumped the 24, perhaps. I don't think he has made his pit stop either. His stall's not too far behind Brandon Andrews in the 24, so those two might have made a little bit of contact, as Gordon is going with a fuel only. So Gordon actually did get his 4 tires. He's back in to top off the fuel tank. Which makes an interesting question too. Did the admins choose to have this caution come out on lap 15? Potentially to have it that these drivers could not make it the rest of the way on fuel, and that's why we see the 93 coming to pit road. You'll also notice, I just noticed this as well, that we're not counting caution laps. We're only counting green flag laps. These drivers have been out there for about 2 more circuits since we got to lap 15, and we are still on lap 15. So apparently we are not counting the caution laps. So officially, when we go back to the green flag, there will be 25 laps to go in this race. So it begs the question, can these drivers make it 25 laps on 1 tank of fuel? When I looked at the fact that they would only have 1 set of tires at their disposal, I thought, well, then more than likely that means that they can make it on 1 pit stop. If we split this race in half, that would be about 19 and a half laps that they can make on 1 tank of fuel. And if that's the case, the 25 laps we're going back green on would say, no, they can't make it the rest of the way on what they've got. And if all these drivers did indeed come to pit road, and I believe they did based off of the amount of time they spent in their pit stalls, I think all these drivers took on that set of tires. That's the only set that they've got for the remainder of this race. So if they do have to come to pit road at least one more time, what is it? Just a gas and go? It would have to be. They can't take tires on. So this is going to make things very interesting in the closing stages of this race. If you just joined us, I'm Seth Cole, flying solo here this evening for race 22 of the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series at the Daytona Road Course. It's the first of 2 times these drivers will be here at Daytona in the next upcoming weeks. We'll be back here at Daytona International Speedway, the Super Speedway configuration, in 2 weeks' time, with Dover right in the middle. But road course configuration here tonight. Been a lot of passing all the way through the field. We've seen some comebacks with David Santini in the 99, falling all the way back to 7th, working his way up to 4th. Barry Stevens dropped out of the top 10. He's back up in 8th. Tim Williams found himself way down on the leaderboard. He's going to be restarting up in 13th, but it has been all the Logan Helton show. Remember, though, Boyd Hogan started this race, I think it was back in the 4th position, so he had to work his way past a couple of race cars before he'd be able to even consider reeling in Logan Helton. Now it's going to be the 8 and the 13 on this restart. We'll wait and see what these two are going to do with each other when the green flag flies, which is now 25 laps to go here at Daytona. And Logan Helton Gonna try and pull away, but ooh, little contact. Going into turns 1 and 2. As Boyd Hogan tried to swing around the outside, couldn't do it. And remember, this is the closest these drivers have been since we initially went green, so these drivers are all going to be running all over each other, potentially. And we've had an issue in the back. Barry Stevens in the 78 has gone around in turn 3. I also saw quite a bit of right front damage on the 98 of Chad Gunisman. There you can see it. Right in front of that right front wheel. Right down on the splitter, actually, as well. Back up towards the front, though, is Helton. About 3/10 back to Boyd Hogan, and another 5/10 back to Ty McWhirter. Followed by Santini, Crampton, and Gregory. A couple of Penske teammates, 5th and 6th. And now Gunisman, that damage really affecting him, especially on the straightaway. He's going to lose a spot to Joshua Gordon, who, remember, was the only driver who came down pit road on the 1 to green to top off the fuel tank. Brandon Andrews was on pit road to get his set of 4 fresh tires. Gordon may be the only driver in the field right now that can push it, knowing he can make it maybe the rest of the way. I just saw a car round off of the back straightaway chicane. That's Tim Williams in the 19. Boy, he has struggled here tonight. Trying to remember. Oh, we got another car in trouble up ahead. 12 of Roger Gregory. And that appears to be in the final chicane coming out of NASCAR turn 4, turns 13 and 14. And he's going to drop outside of the top 10 all the way back to the 15th position. Gregory has been up in the top 10 all night long. The thing we saw back at Road America as well is drivers that got involved in incidents and spins and getting off track early in the race were saved by the competition caution. But then when we went green again, drivers that had been running so well on the first run all of a sudden found themselves with issues, and more than likely there's going to be no full course yellow for them to fall back on. As battle for the lead is on, Boyd Hogan is looking. He is trying to make a move on Logan Helton. So far, no dice. Barry Stevens trying to work his way back to the front. Just got around Jeffrey Meyer. Now gets around Matt Knight. He's up to 13th. Ahead of him, you have Jared Carr. He's trying to get up into the top 10 all over the back bumper of Evan Longacre. Jared Carr had some early issues and hadn't really been able to recover. That competition caution really saved him. And now has him back up somewhat competitive. Another driver that was kind of saved by that caution as well that we saw nearly blow the final chicane on the first green flag run is Dalton Collins. Right now he's kind of in a zip code of his own. In the 6th position as Santini's about to have some company. Ty McWhirter was reeling him in on the super speedway section through NASCAR's 3 and 4, heading towards the chicane of 13 and 14. He's now actually lost a little bit of touch there. Santini opens it up, and that battle for the lead is not going away. Boyd Hogan still right there on the back bumper of Logan Helton. And little by little on the last run, Boyd Hogan was chipping away on Logan Helton's lead. Not by much. About maybe 3 to 4 100ths every lap. But he was just a tick quicker. And we're seeing that right now with him not allowing Helton to have the nearly 5-second gap he had back on the first run. And don't look now, Joshua Gordon continues to fight forward. He just got around Roger Gregory. And he's about to get around Barry Stevens. And remember, Joshua Gordon is on the exact same number lap tires as everybody else around him. But he does have about maybe a lap, possibly lap and a half, depending on how much fuel he saved under pacing, do the good over the rest of these other competitors. So that's why we're seeing him maybe push it a little bit harder than everybody else, and why he is trying to crack his way up there into the top 10 as Carson Bowers. Oh boy! Had some contact there with Cody Jordan. That was out of turn 6. And almost contact there with Jared Carr. And here comes Barry Stevens. No lift. Going to pick up some spots from 12th up to 10th as he tries to swing around the 66 of Carr, and will succeed in doing so. Feel a little bit concerned about the damage to the 9 of Cody Jordan. Looks like he made some contact with the left front of his Bass Pro Shops Camaro. We'll see how that affects him. We mentioned this back at Road America, the fact that really damage doesn't affect you that much at a road course. And it was proved with the fact that we had about 3 or 4 cars in the field at Road America running without a hood. I mean, TJ Crampton had no hood and was up inside the top 5. But when you're at a track like Daytona, the Daytona road course, it is a roval because you spend a good portion of the time out on the super speedway section as well. So you got to remember, when we go to Daytona, Talladega, those super speedway races, we talk about the fact that you want your car to be absolutely perfect. You want it to be aerodynamically sound, as we've just had an exchange for the lead, move the 13 of Boyd Hogan to the point. And so for drivers that are sustaining damage here on the road course section, it's got to be affecting their straightaway speed and their super speedway speed in terms of their aerodynamics. It's going to cause drag when they've got the buckle on the hood or the damage down around the splitter. Now remember, Boyd Hogan, the situation right now is very similar to what we had last week at Road America, where Logan Helton was trying to pick up a victory, get himself playoff points, but because Brendan Burcroft took the victory, there were no playoff points to be had, and Burcroft is not battling for the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series championship. He's not in the playoffs for that, not in the running for the playoffs for that. Same deal for Boyd Hogan, who is a full-time Soda Guys Cup Series driver. If he takes his checkered flag, he's not going to get locked into the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series playoffs, but Logan Helton is going to lose out on 3 valuable playoff points that he could have had if he closed the deal and went to victory lane. Logan Helton's got to be a little bit frustrated maybe at the moment with the fact that these Cup guys are coming down here and taking away points that he needs to be able to battle his teammate David Santini, who right now has 21 playoff points heading into the chase for the championship. Right now it's Joshua Gordon that's in the best battle. This is outside the top 10 for 12th place. Roger Gregory in the 12 in 12th. And up ahead of them, you've got Barry Stevens, who had one of the better cars on the long run, trying to catch up to the somewhat wounded machine of Cody Jordan, who's got not only that left front damage after contact with Carson Bowers, but also seems to have some rear end damage as well. That's certainly got to be affecting him. And Jared Carr right there as well in the 66. Whoa! Carr up ahead of them with some problems. That's the 18 of Tom Laneville, carrying it a little bit wide off of turn 3. So he'll drop in behind these 3 machines and will fall from 7th down to 11th place. And now we've had an issue with Cody Jordan. Just went off course. I believe that was in turn 5. Now, one driver that we looked at earlier that appeared to be in a little bit of trouble as far as his positioning on track in correlation to his positioning in the playoff stands, that was Brandon Andrews. Now, Andrews has been able to work his way up to the 14th position. Driver that he's having to worry about, as we mentioned, Barry Stevens, is now only 6 positions ahead of him. So it would be a 13-point gap from Andrews back to Stevens heading into next week. And looks like Carson Bowers has brought his number 16 down pit road. And he is going to fall a lap down at least to race leader Boyd Hogan, who is just now heading into turn 1. Hogan has opened up his gap between himself and Logan Helton now to about 9/10 of a second. not pulling away nearly as much as Logan Helton did on the initial start of this race. David Santini is now the highest he has run since he had his incident early in this race. Started from second, right now in third, trying to reel in his teammate. And Ty McWhirter's been doing a good job there in that 20 car. He's been up in the top 5 all day, right now in the 4th position. I don't think McWhirter is a full-time driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. We've seen that 20 car filled in by Tom Drayling and others this season here in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. But Ty McWhirter, at least the last few weeks, has definitely been the guy that they've gone to drive the 20 machine. I wonder if that's more so the decision of the team or more the decision of McWhirter, trying to see if he can get more laps to apply to the Cup races the following nights. Slated in the point stands to be the official driver of the 20 machine is Tyler White. And I believe the only time that I've seen Tyler White in the 20 car was a race a couple of weeks ago. He was scheduled to start that race, and he ended up not even taking the green flag. So probably out there trying to get some owner points for the 20 car is Ty McWhirter as the battle for the lead starts to tighten up again. Logan Helton finding some speed that lap, closes it up to 0.3 of a second, and now it's even closer than that. It's only about 2 car lengths separation between those two. Heading into turn 2 and now into the right-hand turn 3. Uh-oh. We might have some connection issues for the 4 of Dalton Collins. He has just grayed out on the grid. He was running up inside of the top 10. And he has not reappeared. So Dalton Collins looks like he may be having some connection problems. And looks like Carson Bowers in the 16 is going to officially become the first driver to retire out of the race. They've pushed his colleagues racing Chevrolet into the garage area. And he will finish this race in the 21st position. He may be joined by Dalton Collins if Collins is not able to get back into the server. Logan Helton appears to be really good through the second half of this course. This is where he's making up most of his time, from the back straightaway through the back straightaway chicane, and then into 11, 12, and then 13 and 14, the chicane on the first half of the tri-oval front straightaway. We can see right there, wow. He drives it in deep. Ooh, was there contact? There might have been. I think there was just a little bit of contact between those two cars. As Helton trying to get Boyd Hogan a little bit loose. He's rattling his cage. He's saying, hey, I know you're out here trying to get MBM Motorsports a victory, trying to get yourself a victory down here, Rapid Fire Pizza, but hey, I got a championship that's on the line here. I'm racing for my postseason. I'm racing for my playoff points. Oh boy. You see how those front tires did not turn? Those front tires were stationary on the 13 of Boyd Hogan going into turn 2, or turn 3 rather, as he locked them up pretty good. Nearly overdrove the corner, and Logan Helton says thank you very much. Slipped on by, and now he's going to go back to the point. Santini's not been able to really get away from McWhirter. I kind of thought that after Santini cleared to the 3rd position, we were going to start to see him reeling in the top 2. But he's only running currently about 2.8 seconds, now 2.9 seconds behind second place Boyd Hogan. And the battle for the lead is back on again. is where Helton's been strong. Now, we're going to have to see if Helton is able to hit that final chicane as well as he had the last 2 laps, not having a car to kind of judge it off of. Let's see if he can drive it in as deep, not having a car ahead of him as a measuring stick. And it looked like he drove it in deep enough. He did open the gap a little bit between himself and Boyd Hogan, so I don't know. That looked a tiny bit more conservative going into that final chicane than we saw him the last couple of laps. So I think not having a car ahead of him, kind of have as a reference point of his braking zone, might have hurt him just a little bit, and he has not shaken Boyd Hogan at all. Boyd Hogan is back this time. Does not lock up the brakes going through turn 3. Helton's going to let it ride a little bit wider there. Trying to get as much speed as he can on the, and I put this in quotes, straightaway section. It's not really much of a straightaway section here in the road course part at Daytona, as Hogan continues to put the pressure on that cystic fibrosis foundation Toyota Supra. But he only closed it up to about half a second, and now Hogan's been really good in the first half of the section. Here's where Helton's been strong. And we'll see if that gap of about 3/10 is going to open up by the time they get back to the start-finish line. Dalton Collins, just an update, has not returned back into the server. And another driver has called it a day. 66 of Jared Carr is now out of the race, and looks like he will finish potentially in the 19th position. 35 of Matthew Geringer is currently sitting on pit road. He would need to get out there, complete one more lap to take the 19th position away from Jared Carr, but he currently has been on pit road for over 2 minutes. I'm assuming getting some repairs done. And, well, thought we may have had another car falling out. Matt Knight, the 01, running 14th. He's dealing with some connection issues as David Santini is on pit road. So I wondered if the admins decided to throw the caution when they did, so that way these drivers could not make it the rest of the way without coming to pit road. Let's take a look and watch and see if he takes on tires. So I don't think he can. No, he can't. There's a fuel only. Oh, wait a minute. They're going around to the right side. And now they're going to the lefts. Well, I was told that these drivers, the number of tires that they are given, according to the list that we are given prior to broadcast, is the number of tires that they have, including the ones they start on. And I'm pretty certain everybody came down pit road and took on 4 tires under the competition caution. So maybe my information was incorrect, and these drivers did have 2 sets of tires waiting for them down on pit road, as Evan Longacre is on pit road this time in the 10 machine. So this says to me the fuel window's open. 15 laps to go. These drivers can make it on fuel. These drivers went back green on lap 15, which means that if indeed about 15 laps is all they can make, we're going to see some of these drivers that decide to stretch it. They'll be on pit road within the next 5 laps. Just to show you how spread out the field was, David Santini came to pit road from the 3rd position, only lost 2 spots, making a 4-tire pit stop. Came off pit road in the 5th position. Evan Longacre not as lucky, as he's going to come off pit road in 13th place. For the moment, that will obviously change as the pit stop cycle around. Matt Knight with an issue. Looks like that was in either turn 5 or turn 6. Got into the tire barrier there. I believe we saw him almost, that was turn 6 actually. I believe we almost saw him hit the tire barriers earlier in this race. And this time I think he definitely did get it with the right front. And he had to wait quite a while back that car up, bring it back onto the racing surface with oncoming traffic. So now it's a bit of a cat and mouse game here with your top two, Logan Helton and Boyd Hogan, as to who is going to be the first of these two to duck onto pit road for what should be their final pit stop of the day. I'm also going to be interested to watch here and see what the lap times are for the outlap of David Santini as opposed to the other four drivers up ahead of him. That last time by, Helton, Hogan, and McWhirter all managed to still run 157s. Well, everybody else behind him ran over 2 minutes on their lap times. There's Brandon Andrews in his pit stall in the 24. Matt Knight, saw him get the tire barriers there. You can see the right front damage sustained on his 0-1. He's now on pit road as well. Several drivers still need to come to pit lane, and the one driver that I'm wondering about, still kind of curious about, is that 93 of Joshua Gordon. How far can he go? Remember, he was the only driver that topped off the fuel tank just before we went back green. I mean, if these drivers can only make it about 15, 16 laps max, then there's no way he can make it. But if they can go a little bit further than that, we went back green with 25 laps to go. We'll see. We don't really know what the official fuel window is. We had a competition caution come out on lap 15. Only the green flag laps have counted in this race. And we're seeing drivers hit pit road with 15 laps to go, guaranteeing they're going to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel, but we don't know just how far drivers really can stretch it. All right, to answer the question of the outlap for the 99, Logan Helton, race leader, a 157.226. David Santini, 155.795. That is a second and a half difference between the two of their lap times. The only problem for Santini right now is he is running over 30 seconds behind his teammate, the race leader, as Joshua Gordon. There's the answer. He couldn't make it on fuel. He's going to bring his number 93 RSS Racing Chevrolet Camaro to the attention of his pit crew for his final stop of the day. And that's going to leave us with 12 drivers that still need to hit pit road, all peppered throughout the field. Jeffrey Meyer in the 38's on pit lane. Lap down machine started this race from pit road. He has managed to pick up quite a number of positions, though, as he is up to 16th. Spent most of this race around the 20th position, as another driver has taken and gone behind the wall. That is Matthew Geringer. So Jared Carr will finish 18th, Matthew Geringer in 19th. And Barry Stevens. Problems out of turn 6 as he loops his 78 car around. Usually when we get close to making pit stops, drivers that run into issues like that are more than likely going to be on pit road the next time around. Kyle Payne, the 21, last car running, 2 laps down in the 17th position on pit lane, as Helton and Hogan continue to stay out. They've been out there now for 12 laps on these tires. I believe only 9 of them, maybe 10, are on green flag lap conditions. Remember, we spent quite a number of laps under pacing, waiting for this field to get themselves lined up to be able to go back green after the competition caution. So it's getting down to crunch time. Right now, of the two, Logan Helton appears to have the slightly faster car. It's hard to tell in terms of lap times really who is faster, because obviously on this super speedway section from NASCAR turn 1 over to the back straightaway chicane, of course NASCAR's turn 3 and 4, the draft comes into play. And the car that's in the draft is going to get a much better straightaway speed than the car that's out in front of them, cutting the air for them. So, you know, if you look at the lap times right now, last time by, Boyd Hogan was only a 10th quicker, and I gotta wonder, was that 10th due to the draft that he got from Logan Helton on the straightaway sections, the super speedway sections? I would assume so. 10 drivers still left to come to pit lane. Our top 4, Helton, Hogan, McWhirter, and Crampton. As well as some drivers inside the top 10 like Tom Laneville, Roger Gregory, Barry Stevens, and Cody Jordan. Tim Williams and Chad Gunnisman yet to pit, and here come our top 2. Logan Helton is in the 8, Boyd Hogan in the 96. McWhirter is going to bring the Dex Imaging Supra to pit road. We go all the way back here to TJ Crampton, who's just now exiting out of NASCAR Turn 4. And through the chicane of 13 and 14. Hits the rumble strip just enough that the left side's come off the track, and he is going to come to pit road as well. So that should cycle the race lead over to David Santini, who has already been to pit road 4 laps ago, and he has just taken the race lead over, getting around his teammate Logan Helton. Helton is now leaving pit lane. Boyd Hogan is leaving pit lane. This could be a pretty fascinating 3-man fight for the win, closing in on 10 laps to go. You can see right there, Helton and Hogan have left pit lane. They're in the same shot as David Santini. Tom Laneville, Barry Stevens, Cody Jordan all on pit road this lap. We should document. But the problem here for Santini was he didn't have the huge gap that he needed between himself and the pressure tires behind. There is 4 laps difference on the tires on the 99 as opposed to the 8 and the 13 running behind him. And we are closing on 10 laps to go. Everybody should be good to make it on fuel now, as Chad Gunnisman, the 98, has just hit pit lane, and only one more driver will need to hit pit road to complete this final cycle of green flag pit stops. That would be the 12 of Roger Gregory, who right now is in the 5th position. And here we go, 3-car fight. All Toyota Supras up here at the front. 2 BJ McLeod Motorsports machines, 1 MBM Motorsports machine. BJ McLeod Motorsports has 9 combined victories this season. MBM only has 1, courtesy of TJ Crampton at Kentucky. And Santini, I think, realizes those fresher tires are there, and he's saying, all right, I'm not holding you guys up. Well, at least not holding up Logan Helton. It's like he may try and see if he can hold the 13 of Boyd Hogan up just a little bit, and he's not going to be able to do it. Hogan may have a big run here into turn 1. Will he look to the inside of Logan Helton? Helton slams the door. You want to be careful when you're running a defensive line to the corner that you don't mess up your corner exit. I've seen a lot of drivers here today either lock up the brakes or get off course, and Helton does not want to have that happen. As he was very smooth there through turn 3. And now looks to put a little bit of daylight between himself and the 13. For Santini, Santini was second to start this race, was as far back as 7th. I think right now his strategy was, if I can get the lead, great. If I can hold the lead, great. But if they're behind me, I'm just going to let them go and ride in this 3rd position. Try and salvage as good a points day as I can. Or maybe wait until the top 2 wreck each other, because they've been in pretty close proximity all race long, whether it's been Helton leading the race or Boyd Hogan leading the race. Roger Gregory has hit pit road, completed his stop. He cycles around to the 7th position, so everyone has now pitted. Everyone is good to go on fuel the rest of the way. Now you've got what you got. And we'll see who is going to be able to win this battle between Logan Helton and Boyd Hogan. Helton, a 2-time winner in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. Boyd Hogan, an 8-time winner in the Soda Guys Cup Series. And Hogan's going to look to the outside of Helton, heading into turns 13 and 14, the final chicane. Both drivers slide through the corners, run it wide up to the outside wall of the start-finish line, and Helton's going to open up the daylight a little bit by about a car length and a half. Santini's in 3rd, McWhirter 4th, Crampton right now in 5th, followed by Longacre, Gregory, Laneville, Stevens, and Joshua Gordon. That is your top 10. 17 cars still running, 15 of them currently on the lead lap. Less than 10 to go here at Daytona. The lead is on for the position, and it's going to be Hogan using the inside through turn 3. He's going to go back to the lead. And as these two continue to exchange this top spot back and forth, and these laps tick away, we're going to step aside for another commercial break. You won't miss any of the action in this battle for the lead, though, as you're going to watch it FRN side by side here at the Daytona Road Course. Continues to be hot and heavy between Boyd Hogan and Logan Helton here at the Daytona Road Course as we're closing in on 7 laps to go here this evening. These two have been the ones that have basically, since the start of this race, have been the 2 strongest cars of the night. Now, it took a while. It really took that competition caution coming out of lap 15 for us to be able to really see this mano-a-mano battle, which nearly had contact there out of turn 14, as the two of these drivers were running identical lap times but had 5 seconds separating them in the first 15 laps. But now, with 7 laps to go, we're about to see a pretty interesting road course finish, and normally you don't see these types of finishes at the road course configurations. Normally there's this one car that stands out, he pulls away, and nobody else is able to catch him. We had that last week at Road America with Brendan Burcroft. I mean, nobody could get to the back bumper of the 00, but right now, it's coming down between the most winningest driver so far this season, the Soda Guys Cup Series, and a driver that's looking for his 3rd win of the season, and to add more playoff points towards his total. And behind them, about 4.5 seconds back, is where you find David Santini. Santini was out in front when the green flag pit stop cycled around, but being 4 laps older tires, was not able to hold off the top 2. So right now he is slotted in the final podium spot. Ty McWhirter back in the 4th spot. He has been top 5 all day, as has the 22 of TJ Crampton. Right now he is in 5th place. Let's go through the field here as we're closing in the end of this race. Evan Longacre right now is in the 6th position. A solid outing for him. That car was struggling early on. Roger Gregory had an issue earlier in this race. He's been able to bounce back. He's in 7th. Tom Laneville is currently in the 8th position in that 18 car. Barry Stevens, boy, he's had an up and down race. Up and down in the running order, but right now in the top 10 and ninth. And Joshua Gordon is currently in the final top 10 position. Tim Williams currently runs in the 11th position. Talk about another driver that's had an up and down day, and you can clearly see by the entire front end of the race car missing. The up and down has been more down than up. 12th place is going to be Cody Jordan. 13th is Brandon Andrews. So Andrews right now, the good news for him is that Barry Stevens is now only running 4 positions ahead of him, so the gap will not close up as much between himself and Stevens for that final playoff position, but it will close up. There's no doubt about that because of the fact 78 is running higher on the track. Right now, Andrews is the last car on the lead lap. Matt Knight was put a lap down about 3 laps ago. He's in 14th, 2 laps down, and on pit road, still getting damage repaired, is Chad Gunisman. Trying to pass in 4th position is 16th place Jeffrey Meyer. He is 2 laps down. Also 2 laps down. 17th is Kyle Payne. We ran the first 15 laps leading up to that competition caution with nobody out of the race, but since going back green on lap 16, Jared Carr, Matthew Geringer, Dalton Collins, and Carson Bowers have taken their machines back behind the wall. Less than 6 laps to go, and Boyd Hogan being pressured as, boy, he had to use a lot of runoff there off of turn 6. May have had to lift a little bit. That opens the door. Here comes Logan Helton to the inside, and these two are going to continue to battle side by side here through NASCAR turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway to that chicane. So who's going to give and who's going to take when they get down there? Looks like Boyd Hogan has no choice. Helton's got the position on him. No, he doesn't. Oh, contact! And Hogan's going to go around right in front of Helton. Both cars are off track. Helton gets back on course. Hogan's going to try and get back on the track. He does. Santini's going to slip up to the 2nd position and now looks to see if he can catch up to his teammate Helton for the race lead. Boy, I wondered who was going to give, who was going to take. Helton and Hogan both decided to take. And the driver that it paid the price the most was obviously Boyd Hogan in that 13. Logan Helton lost a lot of time and ground to David Santini, but again, there's about 4 laps difference in the tires between the 8 and the 99, so you've got to think that's going to play into the strength of Logan Helton still, who was able to get back on course before Santini got around him to take the top position. You also got to wonder if Boyd Hogan is able to get back up there to the 8 machine. I mean, he's not a full-time Rapid Fire Pizza National Series driver. He may have not been so appreciative of that contact between himself and Helton going into the chicane. He gets back up there to the 8 car. Then what's going to happen? Right now, Boyd Hogan is running about 3.3 seconds behind these top 2. See, he's right back there, along with the 20 of Ty McWhirter. And we'll see if he's going to have enough time to get back up here. If not to settle a score with Logan Helton, to at least get up there, maybe try and take this win. Because he, well, I think he had the advantage going into the chicane in the back straightaway, but we saw how that ended up. Saw the 24 of Brandon Andrews duck down to the inside line, heading into NASCAR turn 2. Looked like he was getting out of the way of the race leaders. He's now the first car 1 lap down. Cody Jordan would be the next car to go a lap down, but he's running about roughly 20 seconds ahead of race leader Logan Helton. I want to look at the lap times this time around and see if Boyd Hogan closes up the gap at all between himself and Logan Helton. Looks like the interval is shrinking just a bit. Helton that time by 1:56.4. And Hogan at 1:56.9. The gap is still about 3 seconds and holding. Right now, Logan Helton's looking for his third win of the season. His first win, I believe, was back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which was all the way back on May 22nd. He went on the following week to pick up a road course win at Mid-Ohio for back-to-back victories. Those are the only 2 wins he's got this season. So from August 14th, if he closes out the deal, to May 29th, all the way back then, that's closing in on a 2-month winless streak that he would be coming to an end of if indeed he can finish out these final, coming up to 3 laps here at the Daytona road course. Take a look here ahead on the schedule. Mention the fact that this is the 5th to last race of the regular season before the playoffs are put together. This took the place of Watkins Glen International. Next week, we're going to be at the Concrete Monster Mile of Dover. Then we're going to be right back here the following week at Daytona International Speedway. We'll be at the Super Speedway configuration. September 4th, we're at the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame of Darlington. And then the regular season finale going to be run on the 19th anniversary of the September 11th Twin Tower event. And that's going to be at Richmond International Raceway, and that will set up our 12-driver playoff grid to begin what's going to be a 7-race championship run. And of course, don't forget that tomorrow night, for the Soda Guys Cup Series, they're going to be here at the Daytona road course as well. That last time by, both David Santini and Boyd Hogan were faster than Logan Helton. Santini was 0.3 faster. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. I read that wrong. They were actually slower. Santini was 0.7 slower, and Hogan was 0.8 slower. So I read that wrong. So Logan Helton all of a sudden is turning up the heat as he now enjoys nearly a 4-second gap to himself and Santini, 5.5 seconds back to Boyd Hogan. Chad Gunnisman still sits on pit road. He's now dropped down to the 17th position. Jeffrey Meyer passed him, as did Kyle Payne. So Meyer up to 15th. Kyle Payne right now in 16th position. Everything for the most part, it stayed rather stationary as far as where everybody is positioned since we went through the field there, nearing 10 laps to go. Best battle on track right now is actually for that second position. About 1.2 seconds from Santini back to Boyd Hogan, and Hogan would love to at least be able to get himself up to second place here in the finishing results, which has been right around where he's been all day, either first or second. Of course, he was battling for the lead heading into the back straightaway chicane before the contact between himself and Logan Helton. And if Boyd Hogan can close out at least a podium position, and if Logan Helton does win this race, it's going to be interesting to get the opinions of both drivers of that incident going into the final chicane, because sometimes drivers have differing opinions. Some drivers both see it the same way. But we'll have to wait and see what the two perspectives were from the driver's standpoint. Obviously, both were battling for the lead at the time, and the driver that lost the most was obviously Boyd Hogan. Drifted back to third and has had to claw his way up here to maybe take second from Santini. Logan Helton was able to get back on the track ahead of everybody and has been able to now gap himself in the race lead to now 4.5 seconds back to Santini. And this time around, he's going to head through the chicane for the final opportunity to see that white flag. So Logan Helton trying to make sure he just hits his marks, as right now nothing out the rearview mirror to challenge him for this victory. So the only person right now that can take this win away from Logan Helton is Logan Helton. Heading down into what's been his strongest corner probably of the entire day. Turns 13 and 14. The one driver that's... Whoa, boy. I was going to say has nailed the chicane, and you see he's had to slow the car down, giving up time because he overdrove the chicane. I believe iRacing is the one that judges if you've slowed down long enough for a time penalty. Looks like he has served it, as now he has taken the white flag, and boy, I shouldn't have said anything. He's been the one driver up to that point that has absolutely nailed turns 13 and 14, which I thought was going to be everyone's trouble spot. And he nearly gave this win away. 3 seconds in hand back to Santini, and that battle for second place may be the best battle coming to the start-finish line. Boyd Hogan is now half a second back from Santini, has the fresher tires by 4 laps. Especially when they get to the straightaway sections, the super speedway sections, you gotta think Boyd Hogan's gonna be just a little bit better. This is not the battle for the lead. Logan Helton has that well in hand by 3.5 seconds. This is the battle for second place between the most winningest driver this season in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series and the most winningest driver in the Soda Guys Cup Series. Santini in the 99 and Hogan in the 13. 0.7 of a second down this back straightaway. We'll see if the draft comes into play, allowing Hogan to close the gap up a little bit here, heading into the dogleg chicane on the backstretch. Santini looked like he may have been a little bit more conservative going through. Hogan attacked it, and he's closed up the gap now. This could be a good battle heading down to the final chicanes. It's 0.3 of a second. Let's see how Hogan approaches it here. As Logan Helton, he is going to win this race. He's going to turn for the front straightaway and for the start-finish line. Hogan gives an attempt here through the chicane. Can't get there. Helton's going to cross the line with the win. It's a BJ McLeod Motorsports 1-2 as Hogan will bring it home in the 3rd position. And we'll see what these 39 laps turned here at the Daytona Road Course in a Rapid Fire Pizza National Series car, how that's going to affect him tomorrow night for the Soda Guys Cup Series. And we are going to get to find out the racing standpoint of both Logan Helton and Boyd Hogan there on that contact heading into the chicane on the back straightaway. Is Logan Helton, his 3rd win of the season, so he makes a little bit of a stride of closing in on his teammate David Santini's playoff points lead. And it's his 2nd win of the season at a road course for Logan Helton. His first was his 2nd win of the season back at Mid-Ohio, following up his 1st win of the season at Charlotte. Helton's got to make his way all the way around this 3.57-mile road course before he can get over to the start-finish line and burn it down in front of the fans. You see inside the car there, Logan Helton and the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Toyota Supra. Gonna bring his car to victory lane momentarily here at the Daytona Road Course. And as he makes his way to the front straightaway, let's take a look at the finishing results from today's event. Helton, Santini, and Hogan, your top 3. We'll be getting words with them momentarily. Ty McWhirter will finish in the 4th position, followed by TJ Crampton. Evan Longacre, Roger Gregory, Barry Stevens, Tom Laneville, and Joshua Gordon. That is your top 10. And just look at how the field was spread out. Over 1.5 minute separation from the race winner all the way back to the 10th place car. Tim Williams and Cody Jordan were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap, and that's got to feel almost like a win for Tim Williams, who found himself off course more times than I could count here today. Brandon Andrews finished the first car 1 lap down in 11th. He is going to lose at least 5 points to Barry Stevens, so it looks like it'd be about a 14-point gap from Andrews back to Stevens for that final playoff position. This is all provided of how many points Dalton Collins got for Kevin Roy, who was filled in for this evening. And Roy came into this race the first car outside of the cutoff line. Matt Knight also finished the race 1 lap down. Jeffrey Meyer and Kyle Payne 2 laps down, 15th and 16th. Chad Gunnisman finished the race on pit road at 7 laps down in 17th. And all the rest of these drivers finished out of the race. Jared Carr, Matthew Geringer, Dalton Collins, Carson Bowers, and Jacob Shorba, I do not believe, even took the green flag to start this race. So, into the playoffs, and I think he's made enough starts to still be playoff eligible. But this is very similar to what we saw him do last week at Road America, as Logan Helton continues to burn it down here at the Daytona Road Course. Let's see if we can get some interviews with some of our top 3 finishers. And let's kick things off with Boyd Hogan, who in the fill-in duties at MBM Motorsports brings it home in the 3rd position here tonight. Hey, Boyd, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're used to seeing you in a Soda Guys Cup Series car, but tonight you take a turn in a Xfinity car with the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. First off, got to ask you, is there a difference between driving this style of race car and the Cup car that we've seen you be very successful in?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The Xfinity cars are typically a little bit more challenging to drive. Oddly enough, they haven't really been this week, but yeah. I mean, usually the Xfinity car is just a lot more fun to drive, so I like to come out and race whenever there's an open spot. And luckily, Tracy Powers, I believe it was, had a spot for me in the 13 this week, and wanted to get some seat time before tomorrow night, so figured we'd take him up on the offer and come out, put on a show.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the places where drivers might have the most difficulty coming into this race, and maybe why drivers like yourself would try and get a couple more laps out here in the Rapid Fire Pizza Xfinity Series, heading over to the Soda Guys Cup Series race tomorrow night. Where to you was the most challenging part of the track?
Uh, I mean, I think for me personally, I was kind of struggling, just coming back up onto the track. I think it's like turn 4, turn 5, somewhere in there. That's what kind of set us up for failure at the end of the night. And I'd missed it a couple times. I just never quite hit it right all night long, and obviously that showed at the end.
Well, if we didn't see you in first, we saw you in second, especially when that competition caution came out. We saw some great battling between yourself and the 8, but unfortunately, it kind of came to a little bit of a bitter end, the contact between the two of you heading down into the back straightaway chicane. From your standpoint, what happened there?
Oh, it's just a racing deal. I fully expected it to come down to throwing doors and whatnot at the end. I was hoping, at least we'd make it to the last lap, but I had a blast. I mean, Logan and I had been racing. We've ran a couple of these this week just trying to get the cars ready. I know he was trying to get his dialed, and I was experimenting a little bit with mine. And we had a couple of good races here earlier on in the week, so I knew it was going to be a good one coming into tonight. But nothing intentional, I don't think. Regardless of whether there was netcode involved or not, I think we were definitely still going to make contact. He missed the line a little bit on entry of the bus stop, but I mean that's the risk you take. And I mean that was a badass race and a good win to him. And yeah, that was a lot of fun.
If you look at the Soda Guys Cup Series schedule, it's rather lacking in terms of road course races. With the fact that you were able to, experience those 39 laps here this evening, does it give you a lot more confidence going into tomorrow night's race?
In a way, yeah. I think that the car I brought here tonight is better than what I've got for tomorrow. So I'm definitely gonna have to carry it a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll see where we come out. I know Caden's gonna be pretty quick. I'm not really sure who else we got for road ringers in there, but yeah, I think we should be talking to you at some point tomorrow, whether it's first, second, or third. I'm expecting it for sure.
Well, Boyd, obviously, a great run for you here this evening. It was a lot of fun to see you up in front here in this series. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table in tomorrow night's Cup Series race as well. We're going to do some shout outs now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to shout out, everybody on Legacy Esports, Slip Angle, Judd at Abruzzi, Bobby Earnhardt, got to thank him for the opportunity. Oculus glasses, butt kicker, Austin Derbyshire. I mean, yet again, dude, I took this ride 2 days ago and he had a paint ready to go for the car, and yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people that put time into this, so definitely appreciate them. Evan Longacre had a pretty good hand in putting the set together, so shout out to him. Appreciate that, and yeah, I mean, really just trying to get the seat time for tomorrow. Hopefully, come out and kick some ass, and obviously, we're not returning to the two. We're returning to the series in 2021. Just found out this week, so just see if we can go close out the season, cash some checks, and carry it on.
Well, Boyd Hogan puts the MBM Motorsports machine in third place here tonight. We look forward to seeing what you do tomorrow night in your Penske Racing entry when you take the track here yet again. So to Guys Cup Series. But for now, congrats on a great run and wish you luck for tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And let's get our second place finisher, David Santini. Hey, David, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Hey, got you, buddy.
Well, first, let's go back to the beginning of the race there after you ended up having a little bit of an issue on the first couple of laps. We saw you slide down to 7th place, but you were able to work your way back up to 4th just before the competition caution. I mean, you spent your first portion of the race, at least those first couple of laps up at the front. Then you had to kind of push the car to be able to pick up some position. So how difficult was that, and how did that change up your strategy when you had such good starting track position on the front row?
Yeah, it was pretty tough because the conditions were a little different than what we were practicing in. So we had to kind of adjust for that. And then kind of messed up your braking points a little. For me, it did anyway. So that's kind of what happened there at the back chicane there when I got in and spun out. But no, I mean, it was fun. Definitely slick for sure. Happy to be in second, though, after the couple small mistakes I made that race. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good win for Logan there.
Well, if we go towards the end of this race, you made the call to come to pit road a little bit earlier. It cycled you out with the race lead, but yeah, you had a little bit of a tire deficit between yourself and the drivers behind you. But you had a pretty good show of what happened over in the back straightaway chicane with both the 8 and the 13 getting together. I mean, when you started closing in, seeing them in the grass, was there any point you're thinking, wait a minute, I just might have lucked into this win?
Yeah, so pretty early on, I could tell that Logan definitely had a little bit better of driving ability for this track. I mean, setup can matter, but typically road courses is more driver. I could tell early on didn't have the speed he was going to have. So after the competition caution there, I was like, oh, let me try to pit a little early here, see if I can make up some time and get in front. And I didn't get quite near as in front as I wanted to. So once they passed me, I was like, all right, we'll just ride here, take it easy, see if I can kind of save tires. Hopefully they'll get into each other at some point and I'll be able to take advantage of it. And they did. But unfortunately, Logan was still able to somewhat kind of save it, even if though he was off track and stay in front. So, no, it was a good race, a lot of fun. It was, yeah. Congrats to Boyd too for coming in third there, even after that.
A lot of drivers normally don't run the Daytona road course configuration. And if they do, they run the road course configuration that the Rolex 24 drivers have. Now, NASCAR just implemented that chicane, turns 13 and 14, between NASCAR Turn 4 and the Tri-Oval Start Finish Line. How much of a problem was that for you here tonight?
Yes, so they updated that. I guess it would be like midweek. So if you practiced early in the week, it was kind of a smaller bumpers or whatever you want to call them, turtles. And then when you came out for practice later in the week and these giant things were there and you hit them, it would just, I mean, you could go airborne if you hit them too hard and just totally screw up your whole front end. So yeah, it was a little different. You couldn't touch them at all. If you touched them in any way whatsoever, it was pretty scary.
Well, David, obviously we know that you've been really good with your road course program. You bring it home second place here. We saw you finish, I believe it was 8th. I think it was 7th or 8th. Back at Road America. We saw you run well at Mid-Ohio as well. You had a good performance at the Indy Road Course. So, I mean, obviously, you seem to be doing really well when it comes to the road courses. We've only got one road course that's going to be coming up during the playoffs. So, now that we're going to be going back to these speedways and super speedways, what's the goal heading towards the final few races of the regular season?
Well, obviously, get as many wins as we can and as many playoff points as we can. What road course is coming up? Is it the Roval, I believe?
Yeah, we got the Charlotte Roval, which is the elimination race of the round of 12.
So I do really enjoy the Roval. I know you guys are going to get me for this one, but I do enjoy the Roval. It reminds me of a smaller Daytona, I guess you would say in a way. So it is kind of fun. The speedways, Logan loves the speedways. I've never enjoyed the speedways because I never seem to come out on top of those. Always getting wrecked here or there. So, but no, I mean, it's these last couple races with the other competition coming in has definitely been a lot of fun, and I look forward to each and every week now for sure.
Well, obviously, David, a great run for you here tonight. A second place performance. Another BJ McLeod Motorsports 1-2 finish. I believe it is the second time this season that BJ McLeod Motorsports has swept the top two at a road course. And we're going to do some shout outs now.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be up here on top again at the 1-2 finish, and even Barry doing eighth. I believe he might be in the playoffs now. I'm not sure. I'll have to look, but we had a really good run this week. But thanks to Bearing Real Estate for being on the car, and then of course Rapid Fire Pizza, iRacing, iFlag, FSM Custom, Shorbas Racing Graphics, and Abiding Love Memorial Earns, and you guys up in the booth for doing this every week for us.
Well, that's David Santini. He brings home second place here tonight at the Daytona Road Course. We'll see you on the Super Speedway configuration in 2 weeks' time, and of course next week at the Concrete Monster Mile of Dover. But congrats on a great run tonight. We look forward to talking to you next week.
Yep, thanks a lot, guys.
And let's go down to victory lane with Logan Helton, his third win of the season here in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. Hey, Logan, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studio. You got me?
Yes, I do.
Well, I mean, your second win of the season came at a road course at Mid-Ohio. That was a bit of a dominating performance. A lot of pressure on you here tonight, though. Some tremendous battling there after the competition caution between yourself and Boyd Hogan. But I was kind of getting flashbacks of last week when you were battling against another full-time Soda Guy Cup Series driver at Road America in the form of Brendan Burcroft. I mean, when you had the 13 battling you, was it kind of a case of deja vu and kind of a, hey, come on, I need these playoff points?
It was kind of both, especially from last week. I was a little disappointed in the second place finish just because I need the playoff points as well. And tonight I was just in a different mindset that I need to get this win and I need to do what I need to do. But obviously that doesn't mean wreck 'em, and it probably looked like I did. But apparently it was just net code, and we talked afterwards, and he said it was all right and don't worry about it. So at least that part I feel better about.
We watched drivers really struggle with the two chicanes, one on the back straightaway and 13 and 14 exiting off of NASCAR turn 4. That seemed to really be your strength. That's where you really seemed to gain when you were battling with that 13 machine, trying to take the race lead away from him. Is there any way you can describe your approach, especially that final chicane, how you were able to gain that much speed and that much time?
I think it might also help that I've put in over 190 practice laps this week before this race, and I just found every way to gain more time. And the fastest way for me to gain time was just to be slow in and fast out, so I wouldn't spin the tires. And as long as I was slow in, I could set it up exactly how I wanted it. Instead, if I was going fast, I would have to let the car put itself where it wanted to be. So whenever I was slower in, I could put the car where I wanted it to be, and I could get it out the corner in a lot more stable position rather than chasing it around.
Obviously, we've seen you be able to finish ahead of your teammate Santini now for the past 2 weeks. Those were at road courses. We've got Dover, the Daytona Super Speedway, Darlington, Richmond. Those tracks are coming up. We know that obviously with this win, you continue to kind of chip away at the playoff point advantage that your teammate has. What's the goal going into those speedways now?
Well, especially at Dover, it would probably be track position during qualifying because it's a little difficult to pass there. Obviously, the goal is to win that one as well. Um, but heading into Daytona Super Speedway, I just can't wait for that one because I love super speedways and I race at them a lot. And again, the goal there is get track position at the qualifying and stay up front the entire race. That's pretty much the safest thing you can do. I know a lot of people like to stay in the back at super speedways, but to me, that just means you're going to get a wreck ahead of you at some point, and you can't avoid everything. So.
Well, there's no doubt, Logan, that you were the fan favorite here tonight in the YouTube comments. A lot of people were cheering you on and elated to see you be able to pick up this third win of the season. We're going to let you do some shout outs now.
Yeah, thanks to my family and friends that watched the race, and thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Everyone in the league that keeps us going. My team at BJ McLeod Motorsports with Barry Stevens and David Santini, and also a huge shout out to John Jones at Jones Racing Setups for getting me this awesome setup, and crew chiefing me pretty much the whole race, trying to keep me calm and tell me what I need to do. My sponsors are GC Media, East Bay Landscaping, and OKH Graphics, and I think that's it.
Well, that's Logan Helton, his third win of the season, his second win at a road course this year, and it's a checkered flag here tonight at the Daytona road course configuration. Congrats on a great win, Logan. Go enjoy it. We look forward to talking to you next week at the Concrete Monster Mile of Dover.
Thank you.
And so as Logan continues to celebrate his victory here tonight, that's going to conclude our coverage here this evening from Daytona. The road course configuration, as stated, we will be back here at Daytona, the Super Speedway configuration. Talk about a wild card race. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. Next week, we will be where Miles the Monster will be ravenous, Dover International Speedway. Then we've got Darlington and Richmond to finish out the regular season before the round of 12 field will be put together. A lot more going to be coming up here this weekend for the Flatout Racing Network side. Soda Guys Cup Series, you'll see them tomorrow night here at Daytona Road Course configuration. We'll have to see if drivers like Boyd Hogan and Ty McWhirter, if they were able to learn anything here this evening that they can apply to tomorrow night's Cup Series race. And then before that, we're going to have the CNASCAR Chris Cup Series. They are continuing on their season. I believe they're in the playoffs as well, as they are going to be at Chicagoland for some 1.5 mile speedway action. Hope that you guys enjoyed tonight's coverage here, though, from Daytona Road Course. I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. Hope that you guys enjoyed the broadcast as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast this evening, courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.